Cruciatus curse. The Cruciatus curse, Crucio, also known as the torture curse, was a tool of the dark arts and one of the 3 unforgivable curses. When cast successfully on a fellow human being or living creature, the curse inflicted intense, excruciating physical pain on the victim and would result in insanity if the victim was subjected to it for a prolonged time. The penalty for the use of this curse on another human being was a life sentence in Azkaban, unless there was sufficient enough evidence that the caster did so under the influence of the Imperius curse. 2 well-known victims of this curse were former Aurors Alice and Frank Longbottom. The Longbottoms were tortured into insanity with it by Death Eaters Bellatrix, Rodolphus, and Rabastan Lestrange, and Barty Crouch Jr. History. Middle Ages. The Cruciatus curse was invented during the early Middle Ages. According to Barty Crouch Jr., the curse was once very popular. After the Wizards' Council was reformed into the Ministry of Magic, tighter restrictions were placed on the use of certain kinds of magic. The Cruciatus curse was deemed by the ministry to be dark magic and, along with the Imperius and killing curses, were declared unforgivable in 1717. The use of any of these 3 curses on a fellow human being would result in a life sentence in Azkaban without parole, unless there was sufficient evidence that the caster did so under the influence of the Imperius curse or for other defensible reasons. Many secret keepers in the past had been subjected to the Cruciatus and Imperius curses in an attempt to learn the secrets they kept, but to no avail, as the keeper had to reveal it willingly. First Wizarding War. During the First Wizarding War, when Barty Crouch SNR was in charge of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, he fought violence with violence and legalized the 3 unforgivable curses for Aurors against the Death Eaters in order to win the war. This was repealed once the war was over, as it was no longer necessary. Shortly after Voldemort's defeat, for Death Eaters, 3 Lestranges, Bellatrix, Rodolphus and Rabastan, along with Barty Crouch Jr., captured the Aurors Frank and Alice Longbottom and tortured the 2 with the Cruciatus curse for information on Voldemort's whereabouts. The repeated and prolonged usage of the curse caused the couple to become insane and the 4 to be captured and tried in front of the Council of Magical Law. All 4 of them were found guilty and sentenced to life in Azkaban. This act was considered to be one of the most heinous and infuriating attacks in modern history. Between the wars. Despite the repeal of the curse's legal usage, in the 1994 to 1995 school year, Barty Crouch Jr., under the disguise of Alastair Moody, showed these 3 curses to his 4th-year classes on spiders, despite the ministry's strong disapproval. However, since the use of the curse was illegal only on a fellow human being, the demonstration of the curses on the spider may have been within legal boundaries. Dolores Umbridge, in a last-ditch effort to draw information from Harry Potter, almost used the curse on him. She was certain in the belief that she would not be called upon to answer for it due to the only witnesses to the act being Harry and his closest friends, and the present Slytherin students would not support Harry in any way, and that she would be able to avoid punishment for the curse due to the political climate either way. However, she was dissuaded from using the curse by Hermione Granger, who gave Umbridge a false story in order to save Harry. When Death Eater Bellatrix Lestrange killed Harry's godfather Sirius Black, Harry chased down Bellatrix and performed the curse on her out of rage. However, it was performed unsuccessfully as Harry was doing it with righteous anger and couldn't muster the will to actually cause her harm. Second Wizarding War. In 1997, Draco Malfoy, in a fit of rage and recklessness, attempted it on an eavesdropping Harry, and later in the same year, Harry attempted to use it on Severus Snape during the Battle of the Astronomy Tower but was prevented from uttering the whole incantation due to Snape's use of legilimency. When Lord Voldemort took over the ministry, the 3 curses were once again legalized, this time every wizard and witch had the right to use them as they pleased. In fact, they were practiced in Hogwarts as part of the curriculum of dark arts class under the cruel tutelage of Professor Amicus Carrow. Students were required to practice the Cruciatus curse on other students who received detention, and the Carrow siblings used it to punish students as they see fit. The likes of Vincent Crabbe and Gregory Goyle greatly enjoyed practicing the curse on fellow students, earning themselves top grades in the class. Hermione Granger had this curse used on her by Bellatrix Lestrange during her interrogation at Malfoy Manor in March of 1998. Harry Potter managed to successfully use it on Amicus Carrow without legal consequences as well as a result of this legalization, shortly before the Battle of Hogwarts on May 1, 1998. After Voldemort's death and the revolutionizing of the ministry under new Minister for Magic Kingsley Shacklebolt, the 3 curses were once again forbidden and their original penalties were restored. Harry Potter had a vision of Lord Voldemort ordering Draco Malfoy to use the curse on Thorfinn Rowell after he and Antonin Dolohov failed to capture Harry at Tottenham Court Road. Although he saw nothing of Dolohov's punishment, Narcissa Malfoy later mentioned what he did to Raoul and Dolohov when she was afraid to contact Voldemort. Nature. The pain caused by the Cruciatus curse was described by Harry Potter as being worse than 1,000 white-hot knives, boring into the skin and beyond what most people would ever experience. The sensation of the curse was so intense that the person under the effects wished for unconsciousness and even death, as a means of escaping the searing pain. The pain from this curse would cause permanent physical and mental injury if exposed to for a prolonged time, as in the case of the aforementioned Longbottoms, who spent the rest of their lives in St. Mungo's Hospital for magical maladies and injuries because of the terrible trauma the curse caused. This incident was considered one of the most horrific fates for the victim, even worse than death. Presumably, such permanent effects were not uncommon if the victim was exposed to a particularly intense curse for a long period of time. As memory charms could be broken through torture, the Cruciatus curse was capable of such a feat, though it required a certain level of exposure in time and intensity to break through it. Bertha Jorkins suffered such a trial, and the end result was that both her body and mind was damaged beyond repair. Although it was possible to use the curse on secret keepers to inflict pain on them, it was impossible to use it to force the secret out of them, as it had to be done on the keeper's free will. If the curse hit an inanimate object, it might have caused it to shatter instead. Performance. To successfully perform this curse, simply uttering the incantation was not enough. The wizard or witch had to possess a deep desire to cause the victim pain and to take great pleasure in their suffering. For example, despite being furious with Bellatrix Lestrange for her murder of his godfather in 1996, Harry Potter was only able to cause her a brief moment of pain with the Cruciatus curse because he used it out of righteous anger, though he was still able to knock her off of her feet with it. Harry performed it more effectively in 1998 on Amicus Carroll, who spat in Minerva McGonagall's face. Amicus was thrown into the air, thrashing and screaming in pain, and then knocked unconscious. This suggests that although Harry's curse was intense, he still lacked the fundamental sadism to make it last for a prolonged time. Bellatrix, on the other hand, due to being a witch with profound sadistic intents and an utter lack of conscience, was able to cast the curse with an almost daunting potency, and seemingly had an affinity to it. When Lord Voldemort used it against Harry Potter at his rebirth in Little Hangleton Graveyard, he would consistently maintain its effect by keeping his wand fixed on Harry, which left him momentarily writhing on the ground whilst feeling like his very bones were on fire, screaming, until Voldemort raised his wand and thus broke it off. When Gellert Grindelwald used it against Jacob Kowalski in 1932, he cast it once on him and Jacob was still hurting from the curse afterwards, until Vicentia Santos cast a spell to free him from the pain. Defense. Once cast, there was no spell that could defend against the Cruciatus curse. However, there were still evasive options available against it. The spell could be dodged by hiding behind a solid object, and a particularly strong-willed wizard could merely resist the pain until the spell was lifted, as Harry Potter refused to plead to Voldemort when being tortured by this curse, and Hermione Granger managed to lie to Bellatrix Lestrange through the curse, though, as noted above, prolonged exposure of the pain from this curse would cause permanent physical and mental damage. Another option was to interrupt the caster before they could finish speaking the incantation, as Severus Snape did to great effect against Harry Potter in 1997 by using legilimency to anticipate the spells he would use. Furthermore, like with the killing curse, it could also be intercepted with a few other powerful fast spells. Should the caster have used the Elder Wand, or actually any wand, without winning its allegiance, to cast the curse onto its true master, the wand would refuse to inflict any pain onto its master. However, there would still be a certain level of impact that could send the body flying. Although the main purpose of the Cruciatus curse was to torture, it could not be used to break through the defenses set by the Fidelius charm, as the secret had to be revealed willingly and voluntarily. Also, if the victim did not possess the desired information, such as Alice and Frank Longbottom, then the usage of the curse served little to no purpose in information gathering. Despite there being no spell defense against it, Vicentia Santos was somehow able to lift the effects of pain that Jacob Kowalski was feeling from the curse in 1932, by pointing her wand at him and using a nonverbal spell, relieving him of the curse's pain. Applications. As its title of an unforgivable curse suggests, the Cruciatus curse had only very limited practical uses. Besides its basic use to sadistically inflicting pain, the curse was most popularly applied as a method of punishment and a method of interrogation. The advent of truth serums rendered the Cruciatus curse as obsolete and a generally impractical method for this specific purpose. However, should truth serums not be available, the interrogator might opt to use this curse instead. Compared with the use of truth serums and even the Imperius curse, the Cruciatus curse was much less efficient, as the person being interrogated had a high risk of falsely confessing in order to relieve their suffering under the spell, regardless whether they actually held the information the interrogator wished to seek and extract. As the curse couldn't force a secret keeper to divulge the hidden information, it was essentially useless in that regard, despite many in the past had been subjected to such an attempt to extract the knowledge. The curse could be used effectively in a duel, inflicting tremendous pain onto the opponent, disabling them from countering so long as they maintained the curse's effects. Etymology. Crucio means I torture. Cruciatus takes its name from the Latin word for pain or torture, the root of which can be seen in other words such as excruciating and crucifixion.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.